let's go. Appreciate you guys being here this morning. Welcome to Power Hour, February 20. Let's hit the record on this thing. All right. Appreciate the starting lineup being here. I guess we'll have guys trickle in as the call goes on. All right, not like they actually have to do anything. They just got to listen. How hard is it to just pull up a thing and listen? Very, very fucking difficult. All right, let's go. Holy shit, Nathan made it. 10 minutes late. Fucking hell. He made it. Great to see you, because I'm going to see you at a fucking one-on-one. You're going to ask me 10 million questions, bust my balls. I'm glad you're able to make it here. To just have to listen. Not talk, just listen. That's it. Unbelievable. You're here. That's fantastic. Who else? AJ's here. Made it on time. Justin, Rocio, Sam. Where's everybody else? Everybody else. Then I'm going to get on a one-on-one, and I'm going to have a million questions why they can't fucking... I don't know. I don't know why you can't. All right. Let's get started before I really start spiraling out of control. I'm talking today about the waiting room of entrepreneurship. I got to start being positive because I'm streaming this on YouTube. And I got to start being positive here. Okay. So I'm titling this The Waiting Room of Entrepreneurship because I do feel through with all of us. I don't know if you guys saw my story yesterday on Instagram about Trump just absolutely lying through his teeth about the economy. I love Trump guy, but he's absolutely wrong about the economy and prices going down. All I'm seeing is prices going up everywhere except gas, and everyone I talk to has no money. Everybody's broke. I'm talking about business owners, Main Street. Wall Street is killing it. Main Street isn't. And I'm sure that's your experience as well. I'm talking to business owners every day, and all of them are strapped for cash, more than I've ever experienced. I'm chasing more invoices out now than I've ever experienced in the history of this business, and also just getting straight up stiffed. And so this is a market economy issue, okay? But there's nothing we can do about that, and we can't let that stop us from doing what we need to do. But it will make us feel like we're kind of in the entrepreneurship waiting room. We're waiting for things to break. We're waiting for the harvest, so to speak. And what that can do is that could really mess with your mind as an entrepreneur. You know, it can mess with your mind. It could do some emotional damage to you. Start to set off anxiety. I mean, like being an entrepreneur, you're not anxiety ridden already, right? But in a tough market and in a tough time, the anxiety tends to manifest itself and grow a little bit greater. But I'm here to talk about that this morning and give you guys some clarity on that. I've been through 2008 when the world was coming to an end. Been through different market cycles as an entrepreneur, and so I have some real meaningful guidance on this that I think everyone on this call this morning will benefit. You know, when you're feeling the anxiety now, I want you to remember that it's not proof that you're losing. It's proof that you're a bit early. Your anxiety and your waiting, the waiting room of an entrepreneur, doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, doesn't mean you're losing, doesn't mean you need to switch your business, etc. You got to beat yourself up more than you already do, which is not a good thing, right? It's just proof that you're a bit early. And I really believe that to be true. You know, you need the money, you need the breakthrough, you need the client to answer. And when it comes to all these things, you cannot chase it emotionally. Because when you chase it emotionally, you start to sabotage your altitude. You're going to sabotage your posture. Because entrepreneurs will end up losing their dignity in the waiting season. It happens all the time. You start to send needy texts. You start to send needy emails. You start begging. You start discounting price. You start questioning your identity as an entrepreneur. All these things happen in these kind of markets. And it's going to happen, and you'll feel that way naturally, even in a great market, right? You've got to, the market has to kind of catch up with all the activity that you're doing. You need to prove a level of activity and competency to the marketplace for it to start delivering to you, right? It's just the plane getting in the air, so to speak. But when we're in a tougher economic time, the anxiety starts to settle in a little bit more. And if we let that emotionally affect us, we will sabotage our altitude. Okay, this is where companies run these liquidation and discount type of programs and stuff like that. They're dropping price because they got to move product off a shelf because things are a little bit tighter. They start discounting, especially in a service-based business. You start to say, okay, look, it's not necessarily about selling a premium anymore. People are tight with money. They don't see the value. I'm going to have to drop price. It's the only way I got a shot here. I need money. I need an invoice to be paid. Then you start begging. And then what happens is you lose your identity, and that's the trap. That's the trap, because no matter how tight a market economy is, even though you're going to hear every day that the economy's doing great, I hope that's the case. I'm just not feeling it at all, and everyone I talk to is also not feeling it. The guys that are making money are Wall Street, and that trickle down isn't nearly trickling down as much as we'd like it to, and what we could be feeling in Main Street. How many of you guys are feeling that too, by the way? How many of you guys are feeling that in the market? Like, they're saying all these, 120 something thousand new jobs. So, when they release the jobs report, they have 18 months of revisions. Go back to all the previous job reports. They revise them down over and over and over again over 18 months. You just don't hear about it. Most of you guys aren't following the market like that every day and following the information that's coming out. It's a political game, and I get it. He's trying to keep the wheels on the things, trying to keep people positive and stuff. But there is definitely a contraction that's occurring. Okay? And we've got to live in reality. We can't live in fantasy land. Doesn't mean we don't stay positive. But we have to operate through up markets and down markets. So we can't start negotiating with our anxiety. We need to negotiate with reality, not our anxiety. And reality is going to tell you this. It's going to tell you that you did the work, that the invoice was sent, that the email was sent, that the follow-up is scheduled, that the pipeline is being built, that the brand is being built. And you need to tell yourself that and focus on those things so you don't spiral. Okay? We have to focus on building still. Okay? And I know it could play tricks on your mind and it could mess with you emotionally. Okay, but you've got to stay focused on what you're doing. Take care of the work, and the work will take care of you. Even in a down market, there are going to be players and participants in that market that are benefiting and are succeeding. It's just going to require a little bit more elbow grease in the skids, a little bit more patience, a little more activity. Okay, more net dissemination. Okay, meaning getting a greater audience for what we're doing. Our marketing efforts are going to have to actually double down on that, and they're going to have to grow in size and efficacy. Okay? I'm going to give you guys a quick little parable to kind of, I think it'll make a lot more sense and kind of center you guys a little bit. Okay, remember, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me too. I'm running a business. I'm an entrepreneur just like you guys are. So I'm feeling this, and I'm in the middle of it as well. And everything I'm talking about today is applicable to myself. So here's a parable about a farmer. A farmer plants a seed, and then every morning he goes out digging them up. And he's saying, "Why aren't you growing yet?" And he keeps checking them, and he keeps touching them, and he keeps pulling on the soil. And in the process, he destroys the seed. And that's what anxious entrepreneurs do, especially in markets that are contracting and that are feeling a little tight, which is reality here, which is our market. They dig up the seed every day with doubt and with panic and impatience and emotional desperation. And they end up digging up the seed that they actually planted in the first place. You guys got to remember that it's not necessarily anything you're doing wrong. It's not that, you guys are broken or something. You're just early. You're just in the waiting room. So stop digging up the seed. We're just early. Okay, the market needs to catch up. We might be dealing with clients that are not qualified, that are anxious themselves, that are riddled with fear. Okay? We're not going to be able to scale a business on clients like that. So we've got to deal with it, especially if they've signed a contract. For the contractors in this group, they signed a contract, they got to pay you, they might be holding you out, etc., etc. You have your rights to remedy. But we need more clients in an environment like this. We need to have more incoming leads. We need to be doing more effort. These type of economies, it's going to test your mettle as an entrepreneur. It's going to test the systems in your business. It will reveal to you the weaknesses that you have in the business that good economies kind of mask. Because revenue covers a multitude of sins. So when we're cooking with gas and we're rocking and rolling and the economy's good and people are spending money and we're making money, we really can't, it's not like pressure testing the system. Okay, it's working out, we're putting money in our pocket, we're doing jobs, and then we have a tendency to think that time is going to continue to roll on, and that it kind of lulls us to sleep. And then once things start to contract, what it does is it illuminates our weaknesses. It illuminates the deficiencies that we have in the business, deficiencies we have in the decision making, our emotionality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think everybody is feeling that and confronted with that. That's where this anxiety and emotionality starts to come from, because we're like, the rug is being pulled out from underneath us. The floor is kind of collapsing. Well, when these economies start to contract, there's massive learning lessons. It's your best consultant. Okay, it's going to show you where you are weak, where you were just kind of getting by before because it was a great economy and money was flowing and people were interested in what you were doing. You hit a pocket or whatever it means, or whatever that was. But in a situation like this, you got to understand you're just early. You're in the waiting room of entrepreneurship. Okay? And in that waiting room is a great time for you to start looking at the lessons that you're learning, which is this anxiety that you have bubbling up. This thing, it's not on the timing that I want it to be. It's a really great opportunity to start looking inward, looking at the decisions you're making, looking at your identity, your mentality, and the systems you've got in the business. What it will reflect to everybody is that the marketing leg of your stool needs to be strengthened. It is going to reflect the fact that our marketing output is not nearly as much as it needs to be. It was just enough that as it needed to be when things were great or things were better and we were making money and we were paying our bills and we're getting a little bit comfortable. Now it's going to reveal something a little bit different. Okay? See, there's a special kind of anxiety that we have as entrepreneurs that comes from us being capable and showing up every day and fulfilling our obligations and our responsibilities and doing what we're supposed to do, okay, and following best practices, etc., etc. But in the middle of that, we are temporarily underpaid for the work that we're doing. And we get this weird anxiety because we know what we're doing is right and we know we could produce and we know we're out there building and we know that we're valuable to the marketplace and we're valuable to our clients. But the cash flow hasn't caught up to our capacity yet. And that creates fear, humiliation, and impatience. And me, it creates fucking rage. I start to get pissed because in the business I'm in, I'm giving my time and my blood and my energy and none of it I can't get back and I'm trading it for money. And when I don't get that money, I start to get really pissed and insulted. But you got to remember that the delay is not denial. The delay it's not denial, it's really development. Okay, that delay is developing me, and it's giving me information about deficiencies and breakdowns I'm having in my systems, I'm having in my business. Okay, because when things were a little bit easier, it covered up a multitude of sins. And so now, for all of us, it's kind of the crucible, and it's going to be our best teacher, and it will make us better entrepreneurs. You know, entrepreneurs that have been in the game for years and years and years and have seen up markets and down markets and have been through these different cycles, they become hardened, crunchy, more experienced, right? Rather than a guy who's green as an entrepreneur. He doesn't really know. He's making all the wrong decisions. He's impatient. He's not focusing on building the system and focusing on the work, because if we do that, the work will take care of us. Understanding that not every client is a great client. Understanding that not everybody who he even signs a contract with is truly qualified. So times like this become our greatest teacher. And it's in the crucible. It's baptism by fire. It's allowing us to develop stronger than we developed in the previous years when the market was great and money was flowing. You know, God is not going to give you the harvest before you become the man that can hold it. Okay, so we had harvests. Some harvests are greater than other harvests. And because there was an overflow, we got some of that overflow work. And we started to think that that overflow work and the work that we had in a certain pocket of years was directly correlated to how great we were doing, but maybe it was just overflow. Maybe it was such a great harvest during those years that anybody could have caught a fish. Didn't even need a bait on a hook. Okay? Now that harvest is still there, but it's in less volume and quantity. Now you got to bait a hook. And so we're not going to get the harvest until we become the person that can hold it. And that's very powerful to understand. And it's going to push us to do all the things that we knew were necessary and that we should have done earlier, but we didn't because we kind of got lulled to sleep with a false sense of success. It's what happens in every great market. You got mortgage brokers that make $900,000 a year in 2006 and 2007, 2005, 6, and 7. Okay? It's outlandish for a mortgage broker. Now, during that period of time, those mortgage brokers were thinking that they're the best, that they're like, these Wall Street type of telesales guys, and they're making all sorts of money, and then the market corrects, and that $900,000 a year starts to dissipate. It diminishes. And then what happens, right? It's a teacher to them that the way I was making $900,000 before with such ease is going to have to change. I'm actually going to have to build this thing out and become the best mortgage broker in my business and cast a massive net and work on the marketing leg of my business and the delivery of my business, the sales leg of the business, the financial command, the recruiting, all the things that we talk about when it comes to the scaling stool. That they weren't as strong as they needed to be, but there was just a great economy and an overflow of things. Well, after that, it tests their mettle. And then what happens? Most of the guys end up washing out of that business. But then we hit another great real estate market after that, didn't we? And then we had the COVID bounce and recovery and all of that, right? And those guys started making massive amounts of money again. The strong were the ones that were able to survive. The guys that developed themselves during that downturn, built their business, strengthened it in a way that it wasn't strengthened prior, and they got back in the game and made a lot of money. Well, that's how it works in all cycles. And I thought that today, this idea of the waiting room and development and these market cycles being our best teacher was appropriate, because I really believe that we are in that market cycle. And as you guys showed before by a show of hands on the call, that you guys are experiencing that too. And so I wanted to talk about it. It's like an elephant in the room. I wanted to talk about it to give you guys the tools and the kind of the mentality that you need to be in, because everybody here is working so hard. We're on these calls every day. We're staying on the straight and narrow. We're doing everything that we need to do to the best of our abilities, hopefully. And then I'm going to tell you that living in reality, it's going to be harder than it was last year or 2 years ago. And I'm feeling it directly, and I'm sure, obviously, that you guys are as well. So I'm going to give you guys a method on how to stay focused when you're waiting here. Okay, to not spiral out of control like I have a tendency to do and just start going mad and nuts. I'm going to call this the work wins method. And I'm calling it that because it's aligned with our ethos that if you focus on the work will take care of you. I don't care what kind of market it is. I'm not focused on my competition. My head is down, and I'm focused on what I need to do and my output being more efficient, having my output be more effective, working on the systems and using that as a way to develop myself and strengthen the legs of my company. So here's the identifying trigger of the work wins method. What am I waiting on? Okay, we're all waiting on stuff. Okay, we're waiting on new customers, new clients to pull the trigger. You know, leads that came in that we're working on. We're waiting on that. We're waiting on new jobs to break for the contractors in this group. We're waiting on invoices to be paid, etc. So what am I waiting on that's triggering me right now? That's step one. We got to identify it. Like everything else, we need to do the diagnosis before we can give the prescription. So what am I waiting on is number one. 4-step process. Number two, take one pressure action on that. Send the follow-up, send the invoice reminder, send the email, call the prospect, publish the content, make the offer, build the asset, shore up that part of the leg of the stool, whatever it is. Take one pressure action on that. Okay? We've got to stay on it. Because if we don't confront the thing that we're waiting on, if we don't confront that thing that's causing anxiety, then nothing is going to move. In economies like this, we've got to lean on people. We've got to stay present. We've got to stay on their windshield until they swipe us off with the windshield wiper. We've got to be in a position where they recognize us and they have to deal with us. We're not just going to let the line out. If we let the line out, okay, in economies like this, we're going to be taken advantage of. And your fear of pissing them off or whatever is totally irrelevant. They're holding you out in the first place. Okay? And if you continue to let them hold you out, they're going to continue to do that again. Take an inch, give them an inch, take a mile. Because what they're caring about is their own self-preservation, not yours. They don't care about you. They care about them. So if they're in a tight position, there's 100 other things that they feel might be more important than dealing with you, paying you, following back up with you, etc., depending on how far along they are in that process and how much pain they're receiving on the pain point that you're providing a solution for. So if you're providing a solution for someone that isn't necessarily a day-to-day thing that they necessarily need right now, they're going to take their time on it. So identify the thing that you're waiting on and take one pressure action on that. Then, after that, immediately shift into production. Focus on the work. Okay, I want you to pick a task that's going to build the machine. Okay, because even in down economies, the guys that have built massive machines, they level out their revenue. They level themselves out because they have a machine that's in place. Maybe they need to add a little bit more gas to the machine. Maybe it's consuming a little bit more gas than it was before, but they have a machine that's built. And that machine is up and running and it's paying them dividends. Okay, all the bigger guys in the spaces have built these machines, these marketing machines, sales machine, project delivery machine, recruiting machine, financial control machine. All of that they've already created. and that machine is still running. Okay, and they're going to be feeling it like you to an extent, right? Their numbers are going to diminish a little bit, even their diminished numbers are numbers that you wish you had. They're going to be dumping more gas into that machine. So this is the opportunity that we build the machine during these times, because these times expose the weakness of the machine. Good times cover a multitude of sins. Things get tight, it starts to expose the weakness of the machine and the system that we're building. So pick a task that builds the machine. Your content, your outreach, your lead gen, your systems, your offer improvement, obviously the legs of the stool that we talk about. Okay? So that shifts us back into production, the things that are going to pay us dividends, the things that we need to work on and fix anyway. Okay? And then I want you guys to repeat the mantra, the work will take care of me. Focus on the work, and the work will take care of you. You need to kind of tattoo that on your mind's eye during these type of economies. Your job is not to worry about timing. Your job is to build something. Okay? The timing of things you have no control over. We have zero control over this market. We have zero control over interest rates. We have no control over what the Fed does. The president doesn't even have control of what the Fed does. Okay? You got no control of the market. There are so many things, it's so many players, inputs, outputs, and variables that take place in a marketplace every day. It's unfathomable. It can't even be quantified. And all of that plays into the market economy that we live in and the timing of things, of which all of that is out of our control. We've got to focus on building the machine that we're supposed to be building, that an economy like the one we have now is reflecting to you where your weaknesses are. So don't worry about the timing. Your job is to build. Now remember, this waiting system, this waiting season that I'm talking about, this is where entrepreneurs quit. This is like I mentioned before about the 2008 mortgage brokers. This is where guys pull the ripcord because they don't have the view that we have right now. They don't understand a time of training and a time of building, the time of planting and a time of harvest. Okay? And they'll do that because the mind will always invent disasters when it lacks information. When it lacks accurate information, guidance, and expertise from others that have navigated the waters that you're currently on, the mind is going to make things worse than they are. They're going to invent disasters that don't exist, and it's going to wash guys out. Okay? We've got to calm the anxiety waves that are in our mind and focus on our production and taking action on the things that give us anxiety. Now, I know what it's like to be stressed out and to be riddled with anxiety as it relates to business and really important things. And I'll tell you that confronting them is the solution. If we don't confront them, they're going to continue to grow because the mind will make it worse than it really is. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know that entrepreneurs are afraid of confrontation. They're afraid of losing a client. They're afraid of, you confronting a guy in a professional manner is going to make them mad at you and make you feel more pain. It's really the opposite. Okay? If somebody, client or something is giving you anxiety and you confront it, and you come with a solution, and you get yourself on their windshield, and it goes in that direction, you did yourself a favor. You may not think you did yourself a favor. In the short term, you might be feeling like, man, I really needed this guy or whatever. You're being penny wise and pound foolish. I say this all the time. I don't want clients that don't pay me. I don't want clients that are in my life, in my ecosystem, that I'm waiting all of my time, energy, and effort in and don't care, that don't appreciate. Now, the ones that do, those are going to be your great clients. Those are going to be the ones that you're going to work doubly hard for, create a great relationship with, and they're going to get the great service or product that you guys are delivering. But why would you want to be busting your ass and staying up at night and giving yourself heart palpitations on people that don't care about you, have no intention of doing the right thing for you, and are going to make your life a living hell? Like, nip it in the bud, so to speak, when you have the anxiety. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Wash a person out early in the relationship if this thing is dysfunctional. We don't want to get married to that person. This is not somebody we're going to be able to get married to. But what entrepreneurs do is they find a highly dysfunctional client that keeps a carrot in front of their nose, regardless of a contract signing or not. Their actions show you that they're not willing to marry you. They're not willing to stay faithful to you. They don't care about your needs the way you care about their needs. And their actions are proving it. So why do we want to keep a relationship with that person? Confront it, get them to see the error of their ways, have them pay you, or get in line with whatever type of activity they're supposed to be doing that they're deficient in being derelict on. And if it blows them up, that's the best thing that ever happened to you, man. Then go out and get another one. But then the fear is tied into the fact that we didn't build the machine. So we end up staying with the one that treats us like shit because we can't get another one. Right? You see this happen with men all the time. They don't go out with enough females. They don't have a backlog of women. They got one person that gives them attention, and that one person treats them like shit, and they end up staying with that person. Why? Because there's nobody else to go to. You didn't make yourself attractive enough to attract other people to want to be a part of your life and what you got going on and spend time with you. You guys now are in a season where you got to really start building that machine, because you're going to be going through a lot more dirt than gold. Okay? What we need is momentum. We don't need a miracle from these people. We need momentum. We've got to build off the momentum that compounds. It's how we're going to scale. Okay? So we've got to focus on the work more so now than we ever have. Understand that we're in the waiting room. Understand that economies like this are going to expose our weaknesses. Don't get mad at yourself or mad at that person or even mad at the economy. There's nothing you can do about it. What it's doing is it's illuminating, it's diagnosing and illuminating the malady that needs to be remedied. Okay, the hard truth is that most of us are anxious because we're living deal to deal. Okay? Especially the contractors in the group, especially the salespeople in the group. You're anxious because you're living deal to deal. Okay? And it's not because you're unlucky or you're cursed or you suck or whatever. It's because you haven't built a pipeline. You haven't built a system. You haven't built a recurring lead generation system. You haven't built an offer ladder, an ascension ladder, a way to get people in and kind of move them up and build a further relationship with them to do business with you. Or if you have lower ticket items that you're selling, move them through an ascension ladder and earn their trust, because trust now and competency is really going to be the commodity. It's really going to be the thing that matters the most, because things are tighter. And people are going to be less open to spending money. They're going to be making sure that when they spend the money, that it's being put in the right place. So you're going to have to build trust now more than ever. You're going to have to show and prove now more than ever. Okay? So if you're in that position, like I said, it's an illumination of a weakness. And now is a perfect time for us to start working on it. The cure for anxiety is not comfort. The cure is in the construction of the systems that we need to build. That's where the cure is going to be. When we build those systems and things turn around, we will start reaping a harvest. Okay? So all you guys may be waiting on money, you know, waiting on new clients, but the new clients and the money is waiting on value in an economy like this. And value is waiting on you to stay focused long enough to produce it. And if you keep working, you won't lose. If you stop working, you're guaranteed to lose. So focus on the work, and the work will take care of you. And all of us are now in a season where we're going to have to work on these things harder. Just when you guys are starting to get tired, well, we got a little bit of a longer run ahead of us, and it's uphill. So it's time to kind of dig in and find that warrior mentality and start doing the things that we should have been doing earlier, or do it to a greater extent. And you're all in a better position to do it because you're that much more experienced. And you guys are that much more down the road. Okay? So if you're waiting, guys, you're just in the waiting room. If it feels like it's slow, you're just in the waiting room. You're a little bit early. It's going to be a great opportunity for all of us to focus on the work and build the things that we were supposed to build. And then those things will take care of us. And that's my message for you guys this morning on a Friday. All right? Any questions? Let me mute Dan here. Mute the microphone. Okay?
So good. So good. I'm just pumping my fists because literally I'd say this is our worst week maybe in the history possibly of just-in-time baseball, but I'm doing it with a smile. It's not because of effort. It's just the ripple effect. I feel for some reason I'm doing it with a laugh, like bring it the fuck on. I'll just triple it down. And I know in my gut, maybe that's the wrong angle. You could tell me no, that it'll work out because I'm working, you know?
Absolutely.
So I'm doing it like rebound.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no other answer. We got to work on it. We just got to stay focused and working, continue to plant seeds. And then what it's doing, though, is like you want to look at it and at face value, yes, it's like things are slow. And so I got to continue and double my output. I've got to bring more value. I got to find another angle of approach. That's first order. The second order thinking that I want you guys to think about is to take a more critical look at what we've been doing when things were easier. Because this is going to be illuminating some of the things that we were deficient and derelict on earlier. Like the system. We, as entrepreneurs, our job is to build a system that the business runs on top of. Okay? Like your coaches, Justin, go out and do the coaching. You manage that. You're the leader, but they do the coaching. Your job is to build the system that company runs on. And the system is holistic. It's all of these things. It's everything related to that company. And so we need to now, second order thinking, look at the systems that we built and why and where our systems are breaking down, where we're starting to feel this crunch. Because some other companies that have built great systems aren't. They're going to see a diminishing in what they were doing at peak. But they have a system in place that's still going to keep them chugging along and chugging along and chugging along. Now, if we end up to a place where we feel like we're coming to a screeching halt, I want you to start thinking about the second order because, yeah, we're going to have to work our way out of it. We have to fight our way out. There's no question about it. Otherwise, we're going to die. But use it as an opportunity to remember these times. Remember this market. Remember this cycle and what this cycle illuminates. And we need to tighten that up so when things start to turn around, we are in a position to compound or scale, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. You got to focus on the work, double down on it, fight your way out, get more creative, new angles of approach. Concurrently, think about where the deficiency and the weakness in the system that we built is rendering this result. And then it's going to be our best consultant. And then it's our job to then figure out how we can shore that up, make that stronger. So when the things do turn around, we can compound, and when the cycle goes back again, we're not in a position that we're in right now. See, like when things are good and we're talking about systems and we're talking about all this stuff, revenue covers a multitude of sins, and it doesn't feel like it's so important. I'm so tired. I want to go home. I'm comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And the day that has come today is a day that you weren't thinking is going to come, but it always comes. And then today you wish you built all those things, and you wish you did all those things a year or 2 years ago when we were talking about them. You'd be in a lot better position than you're in now. Okay, so take your medicine now, so the next time it happens, we're not in the same type of position. Because when the good times come again, we're going to scale. And we will get lulled into it again. And then a down cycle will occur again. That's the market economy, cycles, ups and downs. Okay, and then we're going to be in another cycle. And then it might hurt us a little bit more. It might hurt us a little bit more then than it does now, because we'll probably be bigger then. And we'll feel it.
First, I'm actually proud of myself. Not to sound like I'm like a little kindergartner. Like, I'm proud.
Yeah.
But like 2 years ago, it would have been like shitting my pants. And now I'm just like, bring it on. And
Good.
It's like almost like I'm laughing at it in
Good.
a weird way. Like, kind of weird.
Absolutely, man.
But I feel it's a great move. It means I'm on the right track.
Absolutely. I mean, like, what it's showing you, like I said, it's going to be illuminate the things that we need to illuminate. Your mentality is correct. Okay? Which is why you're a stud. Which is why you got a multi-million-dollar business that we started from nothing 5 years ago. Like, that's the correct mentality. But just everybody needs to brace for impact here and live in reality. Okay? We're all Fox News watchers here. Okay? And they're lying. And you know it. You own a business, you know it. They can't lie to you. You're seeing your account, you're seeing the clients, you're seeing the money, you're seeing the opportunity, and it's slowing down. It's slowing down. So we got to do likewise, okay? We've got to double down, focus on the work we're doing, and then really focus on the systems that we're building. Quell your anxiety by production. Okay, anyone else? There's going to be great lessons learned here during this cycle. Now, I don't know how long this cycle is going to last. I'm just bringing it up because I watched Trump speak yesterday, and he's talking like it's the greatest economy in the world, and it's just not. It's just purely not true. It's definitely not for me, and it's not for Main Street. And so I'm bringing it up because if you're listening to that, and then you're not seeing the results, you're going to start really beating yourself up because you're not living in reality. You're buying propaganda. Okay? And so you're not living in reality. This is what you're feeling, but this is what they're saying. Then you're going to start beating yourself up and taking this emotional toll and start doubting yourself. And so it's my job to tell you guys it's not true. You're not really screwed up. You don't have to beat yourself up emotionally. These are the conditions on the field. We still have to make a touchdown. Okay? But even when things start to slow, like we're talking about now, doesn't mean they come to a halt. It just means that we're competing for a smaller group. Things are going to be a little bit harder in the fact where more value needs to be given, more trust needs to be built, more pressure, more leaning on people, more of you being involved in the marketing activity and getting yourself out there. Trust is going to be the biggest factor here for people to start wanting to do business with you. They're going to need that because they're tighter now. It doesn't mean that because a market changed and we're in a cycle that they no longer lead your solution. It doesn't mean that they're no longer in a position that, that they have a challenge that requires your solution. That's not what that means. They definitely still do. They are interested. They're just going to be tighter with their ability with their willingness to separate themselves with the money and go through with it. That's all that means. It's a contractioning and a tightening. Okay, and then that moves throughout the economy as people start to get tight. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everybody else starts to get tight. And because when people get tight, the flow of cash flow starts to diminish. Because the flow of cash flow starts to diminish, there's a feeling of a real lack of revenue that's occurring in people and in companies. And when that happens, less people get hired, people make less money, and because of that, they don't have as much to spend as they did before. But it doesn't mean that they're still not in need of your solution. Okay, like 6 months ago, the kids that were in your clinic, they're still kids and they need the next one. It's not like they disappeared from the face of the earth. It's like the guys that needed a fit out that have a franchise 6 months ago, it's not like they died. They're still there. Okay, the retirees that are going down in Florida that got some money from New York looking for a custom home build 6 months ago doesn't mean that those people are dead. They're still there. They still need the solution. Okay, it's just going to be moving them to action to do it and separate themselves in a time of monetary contraction requires more trust, more showing and proving, requires you going through more leads than you had to go through before in order to get the deal. So you're just going to have to work harder in your production and your output. That's all that means. Your output has to get greater. Whether that means you're working harder or not, or you built a system that allows for a doubling of production with the same type of input, I don't know. But that's certainly possible, and some jerk off on YouTube's going to be able to tell me that we can double and triple our output with doing less or something. Well, okay, good for you. You got the holy grail. But nevertheless, the output production is going to have to increase, whether that's going to be you turning the crank or a system you created or an AI bot that you created or whatever. It doesn't change the end result. So don't get negged out and don't be anxious and overly anxious. Just focus on the work. When you get anxious, identify it. Take one pressure action to cure that scenario, and then take another action on the production side of the systems that we need to build. So when it slows down again, we're not as tight of a position as we are right now. And that's all going to make us better entrepreneurs. It's going to increase our identity. It will put us in a position where we will actually get the harvest because we're ready for it. Okay, anyone else? We got 3 minutes.
Yeah, you're spot on. I totally agree. I don't know anyone. I mean, everyone, my friends, there's no one that's like just killing it in their 20s. Everyone, the rent's higher, everything like that. So I'm totally on board of what you're saying. I think, yeah, we just got to double down on the work and just stay focused on that. I think you're totally right.
That's it, man. The only way out is through. The only way out is through. Go ahead.
Justin's, is it the same issue? Like Justin, you can chime in on this. Do you think you're having the worst week because of kind of what we're talking about? People are just not wanting to spit up and pay right now because of the economy?
Is Justin on? I think Justin left.
Oh, did he leave?
Yeah.
He's out of here.
Justin jumped.
Yeah, he did just jump.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's obviously what's gonna.
So.
There's a bunch of things that come into play, right? If you look at Justin's business, you can also have consumer fatigue, right? Because he's constantly has another clinic and he's constantly promoting. So there is a point of customer fatigue, where you've worked with these customers so many times. There's a little bit of a fatigue there. So that comes into play, which is why you always need to increase the net. We always need to increase the incoming lead generation. And then that incoming lead generation is going to be a little bit tighter. Why? Well, a bunch of reasons, right? We could say the economy, things are slowing down, okay? Also, we know that there's going to be a greater trust factor that's needed. Well, if they're first coming in, they don't have the trust factor that the other guys have had, so he's got to build that. So things might be a little bit slower. People are going to be a little bit slower to pulling the trigger, okay? So it's just a market slowdown that we're all seeing and we're all feeling, that everybody's telling you the opposite of. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody is in reality, because what that'll do is that screws up entrepreneurs more than the truth. When politicians are lying about a market economy because they're trying to keep the wheels on, and I totally get it from a political perspective, I understand what he's trying to do. And he's trying to focus on the jobs that are increasing in the states that are blue collar because of the tariffs, and now they're building stuff here and stuff like that. And those are in Georgia and in Ohio, and those are like in niche sectors. And so we've got all these new jobs here, and it's okay. But everybody else outside of that isn't feeling it, okay, to the extent that everybody wished. And so if we're feeling it and our reality's X, and then they're saying another thing, then we're going to really our mind's going to start playing tricks on us, because we're not looking at the actual reality of our main street. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because the disparity between what is being sold to us and what is actually happening is just a massive gaslighting that's occurring. And that can pay a massive toll emotionally and mentally on the entrepreneur, more so than just facing reality and understanding what he needs to do. So that's why I brought it up. I'm not trying to focus on a down market or a bad economy or something like that. All of that is kind of irrelevant, simply because we've got to compete and play in it anyway. But we should look at the reality of it, and then look at what that reality is illuminating in ourselves and our businesses, and fix it now. And do our part to fix it now that we didn't fix earlier, when things were a lot easier and things were flowing. Because it told us a lie. When things were flowing and we're making so much money, it's telling us we're an awesome entrepreneur. We got everything buttoned up. Our systems are good enough. They're working. Okay, and then things start to contract and slow down, and all of a sudden, hey, maybe not. Maybe the system I didn't really build. Maybe I didn't do this appropriately, etc., etc., etc. Now it's time to actually tighten it up, so we're not living in an illusion. Next time, when things turn around, we really get to capitalize on it. That's the point. All right? Okay, anybody else? Okay, that's what I got for you guys this morning. I appreciate you being here. Your takeaway is focus on the work. Keep your head down. Do the things that we should have been doing earlier. Okay? Don't be worried. Don't be afraid. Just keep moving the ball forward. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep expanding. Keep pushing. Keep investing. Keep everything you're doing. Okay, and we're just gonna have to put more output than we've ever had to put before, which is gonna only make us a greater entrepreneur. And like I said, illuminate the deficiencies that we have in the business. Now is the time to fix them. Do not do that. Confront the demon and get it fixed. So when the cycle turns, we're in a position to actually grow, which is what we're all dying to do anyway. All right, that's what I got for you guys. Hope you guys have a great Friday. I'll see you in the Discord. Thank you very much. Have a great day.